And today we're going to be covering marketing traps that coaches fall for. We're going to be going deeper because it actually came up in our conversation today with our clients as well. And this will probably save you thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars and lots of time and energy wasted. Is this actually going to be something that's going to move your business forward, or is it just going to give you another thing to entertain for the next 6 months to 1 year?
Hey, it's Daniel, and you are about to watch a clip from our free podcast, The Coach's Journey, where we help you navigate the surprisingly difficult path of building a coaching business by people who are actually doing it. And we go live, raw, and unedited every week in our free Facebook community.
All right, Coaches Nation, we are super excited to join you once again on our weekly podcast. And today we're going to be covering coaching traps that coaches marketing traps that coaches fall for. We're going to be going deeper because it actually came up in our conversation today with our clients as well. And this will probably save you thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars and lots of time and energy wasted if you're listening to this. If you're in our community live, just remember today we have a deadline as well for you to join one of our membership tiers, one of our programs. We did a workshop last week. It was amazing. Lots of coaches got lots of value, but we do have a deadline on the discount that we have. We'll have the link in our Facebook group somewhere. Please find it, take a look at it, see if you feel aligned on that journey to join us. If you're looking for a community who is pushing you on the business front, on the coaching skill sets front, and you're looking for a community of coaches who are actively building their business, not hoping to, not one day, then this is a community for you. Not only do we focus on business, but we push you to develop skills mastery without you having to go through 100 different certifications. So if that's important for you, definitely join us.
Cool. All right. Well, today we're talking about coach marketing traps. And honestly, there's so many marketing traps out there, and Faisal and me are no stranger to buying marketing programs and things that are really not going to make the difference. And we've like thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars is not hyperbole actually for a lot of people. Like I spend so much money on programs and things. Not all of them marketing, of course, but a lot of it's the same applies to whatever we're buying. It's like, like the promise of a program versus the reality of that program and versus the reality of what your actual needs are. And this is actually a really important lesson for coaches in selling as well, because like it's easy for you to think that somebody definitely needs your program. It's harder to like realize like actually they don't actually need your program, right? In many cases. And so like and sometimes you just know they absolutely do need your program. And so like sometimes it's actually exactly the right thing, but oftentimes it's not. And I think the coaching industry is fraught with all kinds of exciting, shiny objects that for some very specific businesses actually is the right thing, but for the vast majority of things is not the right thing. And if you ever find yourself as a coach saying like, the problem in my business is leads, like I just don't have enough leads, then this is definitely something you want to listen to today. Because it's usually not leads is not usually the actual problem, it's the apparent problem that you think you have.
Yeah, I would even say it's not the problem at all. And in fact, just that statement, I have a leads problem. If you really pay close attention, you didn't come up with that idea. Somebody gave it to you. And more than likely, the master marketers have sold you that idea that you don't have enough leads. And they will sell it to you very logically, very excitedly, that your biggest problem is that you just don't have enough leads in your niche. But
Well,
there are
you've
actually
run out of
bigger
people.
problems.
You've run out of people, right? That came up today.
Run out of people, you don't have enough people to talk to, and then that usually leads to them selling their program. And again, I don't have a problem with marketers selling their program. I have a problem with marketers taking advantage of the things that coaches don't understand. And to me, it boils down to transparency. To me, it boils down to, do you know what you're signing up for? So recently I signed up for, it wasn't a business thing. It was like, I think it was last year. I went through this very lengthy sales process. It was a subscription thing that I needed to do, or you could pay it up front too. It was in different RV parks. And it was very hard to understand their process, but the salesperson spent a lot of time with me. Like I had a lot of questions and I didn't understand it fully. And I even researched it in the background because a lot of people knew about it. And even when you watch the YouTube videos, and they're like, yeah, it's very confusing, their model. And it was. But because the salesperson spent so much time with me, answered all my questions, and I was referred to him by a friend of ours. And the friend of ours gave us a recommendation. This is the level you should join. But because he answered all my questions, he understood my needs, and he's like, I would go for that if that's what it is. And I thought about it a lot, and I went with their biggest package, and not the one that was recommended by my friend, but the one that felt aligned with us. But a lot of that because he spent quite a bit of time with me, and I kept feeling like, oh, I'm asking too many questions at times, but it was confusing. And I actually, once it clicked, I realized, oh wow, there's a lot of value if you actually, it's one of those memberships, if you actually use it, you will gain a lot out of it. You'll gain a lot more, and we're going to be using it. And I even realized, I'm like, I don't think they're prepared for how much we're going to use
You are
it.
using it. Yeah, yeah. You're already using it.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I mean, that all that to share that it was actually the process that that salesperson took me through, the level of attention, support, and even gave me a tool. To this day, I use it, and without me even signing up for the thing. I ended up joining their top tier program, and I don't have any regrets. And that's what I mean by transparency, is that they didn't hesitate to answer any of my questions in the process. It was actually the same when I recently purchased my RV. The first time we had gotten an RV was 5 years ago, and I didn't know the difference between different dealerships. It was a 9 day difference between this dealership we went to versus the one 5 years ago, because we didn't know enough. It is the most surface level, even though a bigger dealership, all kinds of stuff. They t took us through, and I'm now that I just went through the process, I'm like, oh, this is what thorough checks look like. This is why we're much better set up than we were with the last one. We don't have as many things
You have the
breaking.
benefit of experience.
Part experience, but they actually, even though part of it was experience that I was asking better questions, but part of it is they actually had their standard process was really good. They like, for example, they booked me for 4 hours straight for their orientation of the RV and all the things they needed to walk me through. And the other one booked me for 1 hour, maybe 2 hours tops. It's like, and even with the 4 hours, they didn't put a limit on it. It's like, hey, you get the whole half a day, like how whatever questions you have, ask it. And I did. And yes, I did have better questions, but they really walked me through a thorough process. And the other company didn't have it. So it plays out everywhere. So what does that mean? That means, so leads are not the biggest problem with and yes, marketers will sell you on it. And the reason why they sell you on is because you don't have enough experience.
You
You
don't
don't
realize
have
that
an
leads are
ex
not the problem. So like yeah, like if you have a marketer saying like, "Hey, leads are the problem," you're like, "Yeah, of course leads are the problem. I don't have enough leads coming into my business." And so like they're like, "Oh, we'll set you up a marketing system. We'll set you up this whole big system. We'll do all your stuff for you and like be your agency or whatever." And most coaches don't actually need a whole agency behind them. And like you're like, "Oh, this will solve my leads problem." But then maybe maybe that system actually does bring you leads. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe it's totally inappropriate for what you're trying to accomplish. But you think it'll solve the it's like a silver bullet that will solve your problem. If I have all the leads in the world, then my business will be amazing. And there's some truth to the fact that demand actually makes it easier because you don't have to like think about it as much. But then you still have people showing up in your calls, so you haven't had the ability to build that relational sales process with someone, take somebody through a relational sales process. Them, just being sent to you, unqualified lead being sent to you from this agency might actually not be helpful. It actually might be counterproductive because now you've got all these leads that you have to deal with that aren't actually properly qualified, that are actually not the ones that you need, and also not the ones you've built any relationships with. So, like, actually, the problem is actually that you need to build relationships, especially in a coaching business that is a relational business. And so that you're solving a problem of leads when you actually need to solve the problem within your sales process once you have a lead. Do you know what to do with it? And are you getting good at that process? And that process, if you get good at that process, it'll generate its own leads if you do referrals really intelligently as part of that process. Because like, I mean, I've fallen for that so many times too myself in the coaching journey. It's like, oh, I bought this program. Okay, it'll get me my niche. And then once I have my niche, I'll get all the leads I ever wanted. And the truth is in coaching, like the niche is something that evolves over time, and it's also something
Wait,
that
wait, before you jump into the
yeah,
niche,
yeah,
let's
I'm getting just
let's wrap
too
the
many traps here. I'm sharing too many
too many
traps at once.
traps.
Yeah, too
Well,
many
let's
traps.
wrap this one up because this is you brought up an important point and it reminded
Yeah.
me of what Gary Vee said that. So Gary Vee has a marketing agency. He went to look at he was about to work with somebody who was a customer who wanted his agency to promote it, and he looked at it. And when he was looking, he was describing this. I think it was in an event, and he's fairly blunt. He's like, "We can help you out. We can promote the hell out of this product, but here's the problem that I see. Like, your product sucks, and we're gonna expose you to more people. That's not good for your business."
I heard this somewhere. I can't remember where I heard this, but it was like an awesome line. It's like, "Hey, we're losing money on every sale. Let's make it up on volume."
Right. So usually, so and this is what the marketers know this because your pain point is that you don't have enough people around you. So there's like, let me give you more people. Here's the problem. You get exposed to more people, you won't know what to do with them. Even if you know what to do with them, pretty soon you're going to find out they're not the right people. You just wasted a bunch of time going through these people because you're getting, and you can hire an agency, to be honest. They will give you leads, but then what are you going to do with it? So that's not the biggest problem. And here's the solution is that you actually have enough people around you to test out your process. And let me complete that story around the membership. So I bought the top tier program and I connected with another family that we became friends and they were actually deciding it. They were in a campground we were at. They hadn't bought the membership yet, and we had built a relationship. He asked me, he's like, "Did you guys sign up for this thing?" I'm like, "Yeah, not only did we sign up, this is an amazing program." It's like, and I, I gave him my whole thought process because I had done a lot of research. Like, okay, here's why it made sense to us. Even though will only be able to take advantage of it 5 months out of the year, if we take it even within those 5 months, if we use it, it'll be well worth it. And here's the package that we got. And I explained the whole process. Sat down for like
You became their sales representative, actually.
and by the end of it, I'm like, I should just call that guy and ask for a commission at this point.
You
Because
actually
I
might
literally
want to
sold
get
it.
commissions from them because you could probably sell this thing left, right, and center easily because you love it.
I probably could. So, and that's the power. Like when you love somebody, you see that there's value, you will sell it. And then even if you don't have really good sales skills, your conviction sells the thing a lot of times. So he ended up signing up for the highest tier too. Now, I have a very strong feeling he'll probably
The
recommend it to
heist.
somebody else. And it is a powerful process we don't realize. So the guy, even though it's a big company, they don't actually need to pump so much on the marketing. They need to put more attention into their sales process because it's a high ticket program. We're talking 16,000, 12,000 plus and going up to 16 to 20,000. And so for a program that big, you need to have a high level of trust building, better support system, better process, answering people's questions, and having a good referral system. Like that comes in very handy because they're in fact it's the company's owned by a VC, I think, firm. They can do a lot in ads, and they probably do, but they take care of people from what I understand in the process. Or at least the salespeople that I've encountered, and probably they have different levels of quality, but that was really good.
There's two things you said that are really, really powerful. Like one is you don't even need sales skills because you had conviction. I want to ask every coach listening to this, like, how much conviction do you have when you're making the offer? Because if you don't have a high level of conviction, then it's going to come across no matter what you do, right? You can have all the sales techniques in the world, but if you don't really have conviction, then you actually run borderline risk of having unethical sales, right? If you really don't believe in this program for this person, that's going to make a difference for them. It's then you have to ask yourself, why are you selling it to them? Like I actually have people where I'm just like, I don't actually think I should be your coach. Like it's not right. Like I don't think I'm going to be able to make the difference. I didn't have that conviction, and I wouldn't sell them the program. Um, but when I do have conviction, I've actually noticed this more in recent times. Like my level of conviction is higher than it's ever been. When I get somebody on a discovery call, I'm like, oh my gosh, man, do you need what we can do together? And like, I'm like so convicted. I'm like, I almost like do a better job, like just like being excited for them than trying to think of like, how am I gonna handle this next sales objection? It's like the more conviction you get, the better a job you'll do at helping them make the decision that they need to make for themselves to sign up with you. And like Whether they do or not is not something you can control, but you can certainly help them make this. That's the coach's job is to help them make a decision. But what they probably don't need, in many cases, is a specialized tool that gives them leads, right? Like in the coaching world, like a specialized tool that gives you leads sounds really tempting, but like again, like that's not going to actually give you the conviction, give them your feeling of conviction, because you haven't taken them through the right framing to get them to feel how much you deeply care and your conviction. Now, it can work. I'm not saying it doesn't work at all. Like you can definitely get a bunch of leads in the door, and then you'll filter out the ones that aren't aligned or that that are not really ever going to become clients, and then eventually you have to build a relationship with these people anyway, which might take multiple touch points. But if you're doing that anyway as a coach, if you're having those touch points, building relationships, when you get to that place where not only do you have that conviction, but you made an offer and an invitation to them, they actually have that trust built with you to really believe in you, believing in them, right? Because if you have
Yeah.
the multiple touch points with people where you've demonstrated that, and we have a process to do that really, really well and repeatably in CMC, if you do that really well, suddenly it's not because I clicked on an ad from a thing that like I'm already resistant to what they're selling. It's because I have a relationship and I believe in you and you believe in me. And that's where the coaching
Yeah.
sales can really happen.
Yeah, and even if you did have a system, a funnel, an ads system, whatever it is, I'm not opposed to any of that. You at some point somebody's gonna get on a call with you, somebody's gonna in touch with you, and to Daniel's point, you will have to take them through that process. This is why we focus so much on this, because if that process is not built, you're gonna waste a lot of leads. And this is where the math stops working because uh, some of the bigger companies they will dump a lot of money onto ads, marketing, all that stuff because they can afford it, and they will even take them because they're pushing with their resources. You might not have those kind of resources to do that for a long time until you figure it out. But what we're trying to do in our community is let's refine your sales process with the people that you have around it. As you get more people, you will make the most out of the conversations. And so you don't need hundreds of thousands of leads. What you need is just a handful of people that you can build that trust relationship, build your skill sets in the process, serve them, and expand your network. And that is our solution to that. And I want to move away from this because we spent enough time on this, but the second one you alluded to was niche. This is the second our biggest trap I've seen is that every coach I run into at some point they will hear a podcaster or a marketing expert say like, you know what, the reason I'm not making sustainable money is because I don't have a niche. And it kind of it makes sense because, well, if you don't know who you're talking to, how can you get them to come join your program? Because you're not speaking to their pain points, you're not speaking to their challenges and all that stuff that they hear. On the surface, it makes sense, but when you look deeper, there's
And
a
you
problem
know,
with
we
that.
both paid $1,000 for those type of programs, right?
Right.
So
It apply all that true, but it applies more on the high level, top of the funnel marketing. So, which means that if we have a podcast, we need to speak to them. If we have we're on social media, we need to speak to a specific set of people. Why? Because we're pulling out there, just like we're pulling out the specific challenges that our coaches are going through. And here's the problem. The problem is that you don't really need a high level top of the funnel like a marketing system in the beginning. What you need is more conversations with the right people, and we actually broke that down this morning in our session and this afternoon. But to understand that, you actually just need to understand how you can filter out the right people in your process. And part of the sales process is so you can do the job of pre-qualifying people. So you don't need to speak to thousands of people, and nothing wrong with podcasts and all these platforms, but they take a while to build. If you're trying to build a business, you're trying to get a handful of clients in the next 6 months and learn the process of keep getting them to renew or refer you to other people, that that process does not happen easily with a podcast system. That we don't do this to get clients right away. We are doing this for brand building, which is very different. That's a medium to long term process. But for you to get that, you don't need a niche. You just need to talk to the right people in your network, and you need to pre-qualify them the right way through your sales process. And then those people will connect you with the right people. And eventually, after a handful of people that you've served, they'll connect you with the right person, and that will likely be your first client.
yeah, and what you're describing, Faisal, is like letting go of like the need to have a definite niche especially in the early stages. I've been doing this 10 years and I sort of kind of have a niche. It's like not really. I still don't have an official niche and I don't market at scale. And that's the word actually that's coming to mind for me, Faisal, is a lot of these systems they're marketing you at scale when you don't need scale.
Yeah.
Most coaches like a dozen clients would be a lot. Like they can't probably handle much more than that if they're weekly, for example, or having 20 clients. I just talked to a coach friend of mine. We've known each other for many years, and she said, "Oh, I'm super happy. I've got a full roster of 20 clients. I'm completely booked." And congratulations to her, right? Like these are the dream situations that most coaches think of. And you don't need to market at scale and have like marketing systems that are running at that level of resource to fill a calendar like that. Um, you actually, can put.
Unless they have a group program, and most coaches don't. Even if they do, even in their group program, they don't need that many people as a starting point.
Yeah, you really don't. And I don't know for sure, whether this person has marketers or group programs, but I'm saying if you want a full roster of 10 to 20 clients,
And
you
you're
can
speaking
build that.
one-on-one, right?
Yeah, one-on-one
One-on,
clients.
one-on-one, right?
The one-on-one clients. Like you don't actually need to have a marketing system at scale with ads or like all the stuff that you've been told by the marketing industry that you need. It's just going to get worse with the marketing AI apocalypse coming. That they're all going to target you because they know you're a coach, that you're going to be like the perfect person to sell their system to. And maybe that system is going to be helpful in some way. But more than likely, as far as I said, they're gonna you want you to niche, and you don't actually have to niche to. I mean, if they do want you to niche, it might be a program about niching. Whatever the case is, you don't have to niche yourself to get clients. Your current network and meeting the right people is a skill you can develop. And it takes it might feel like it takes longer. It actually doesn't take longer because the other way takes way longer, as we've learned. Like you spend your time on these systems and these things, like even CMC, we've signed up for various marketing programs and things over the years, and we've learned that it actually is harder sometimes and longer to spend your time building these systems up. And the systems don't do what you expected them to do, and then you're busy trying to figure it out, and when you're actually solving the wrong problem. And when
Yeah.
you're solving the wrong problem, it actually is way worse. And it might sound harder to like build relationships because you want to outsource that to the system. But the truth is you have to coaching is a relational business. And to sell any programs, you need to be relational. And most of these agencies and marketing programs and niching programs don't actually really support you in that area.
Yeah, that's not their purpose. I mean, the
And
main
and
purpose
that's
is
not
to
what they're selling. That's right.
get you exposed. That's the marketing stops when you meet with somebody. That's where sales begins.
Yeah.
And that's where they will even keep extending the thing. Well, maybe there's something wrong with your sales process. Maybe, and they're right, but they're not going to
Yeah.
help you with that because they
Yeah.
might not have the expertise. We actually work with a marketer who was good in sales too. He actually helped us develop a little bit of the sales process. But let's come back. So, and that's a niche. And our solution to that is actually it depends on the coach where they are. Sometimes coaches have enough experience and they can actually develop their niche and they can speak to certain people, whether through social media or through speaking engagements, something like that. And we have coaches who do that. And sometimes you don't need a niche at all. But the problem happens when this becomes the standard. Oh, I need leads, I need a niche, and then the third one is I need funnels. So that's from the beginning that I've been exposed to is like you need a funnel. You need the
That's what they
opt-ins, you need
say,
the
right?
value add, you need you need to offer, and it's a great framework. You somebody opt-ins to your newsletter, to your website, to something, you add
Yeah.
value, and you make an offer. It sounds straightforward, but it's not as straightforward as you think it is.
Yeah, because I want to talk about like what's the solution to this puzzle, right? Like, hey, should I buy these marketing systems? Should I like niche myself when I'm not ready to niche or really afraid to niche or whatever the case may be? Should I build this complex funnel? And the solution is really quite simple. It's like, what's the thing that needs to happen after that lead comes to you? Like that's where the solution lies. It's like it's actually you're putting the cart before the horse. Literally, you have to do the horse first, which is the sales process when you meet with somebody for the first time, um, before you can set up the cart. Like you don't want to scale the horse with a cart. Okay, the analogy's kind of breaking down, but like if you figure out your sales process, you don't want to put heavy marketing on a sales process that's broken or that doesn't work at all. right? So like the sales process is actually the thing that helps the coaches develop their skill sets, develop their niche, develop their their process. And when you have that working really solidly from the moment you make a new contact all the way through to somebody buying your program, and not everybody that you meet obviously will buy your program, but if you have a process that you can take people through, that actually doesn't rely on marketing because if you embed in that process a really solid way to do discovery sessions and referrals as part of that process, then suddenly you're generating leads through every person that has a great experience with you. So if you have somebody have a great experience with you, that's somebody you need to be asking for referrals or for introductions or testimonials. So that way, the next time you run it, the next time you have a discovery session or make an offer, you can actually share that testimonial, or that person can be referring you to somebody warm that is actually going to be way better than somebody who came through your top of the funnel, agency play, right? For most coaches, not it's not 100% true for everybody, of course, but for most of the coaches that we see investing in these programs, it's usually a bust. We know people that have invested tens of thousands of dollars and been like, that was totally the wrong thing to buy because it didn't work because they didn't know what to do after that lead came in.
Yeah, yeah, and that last piece around funnels is like that's another way they will get you is because they will make you busy into building all kinds of software systems or purchasing it and setting up the background. And it takes
Mm.
weeks and months. I remember the first time I got it, I spent a whole week trying to figure out what fits in. I didn't use any of it, but it just felt more fun and less uncomfortable to do that. And that's the
That's
driving
actually the
force
key.
because it's actually incredibly uncomfortable to go talk to somebody and figure it out and be clunky and not know what to say about your coaching. This is why you every certification you go to, you hear the same questions over and over. What do I tell people? What kind of coach am I? How do I well, even though they have been given those instructions, they keep asking the same thing, usually because it's a comfort issue, it's a courage issue, it's not a not knowing issue, because you will
This
figure
is
it out as you
emotional.
go.
It's emotional in
It's
nature, you're
emotional in
saying,
nature.
right?
So what they do is these marketers know that you don't want to do the uncomfortable, or let me give you something comfortable to do. Let me get you to build your website. Let me get you to build your landing page. Let me get you to build your sequence of emails you're gonna send. And I've seen coaches and business owners build the whole thing. I'm like, well, what did you do with it? Well, it's ready to go. I'm like, well, when are you gonna launch it? That date is never there, and even if it's there, it keeps getting extended in the future. Well, it's not ready. I need to refine the emails. I need to do this. That's not how business owners work.
When you're ready for that is when it's the bottleneck in your business, not it's the thing that you're going to do as an excuse to not do the other thing you need to do, which is have the conversations and build the relationships. When that becomes difficult to do because you're doing so much of it, now it's time to add a process in place typically, where and that process can now help you scale the thing that's already working. But you don't want to scale the thing that's not working that you're using as an excuse to not do the thing that's not working because it feels bad.
Yeah. And I'll say one last one and then there are so many traps, but the last one is promises. But this one I think it's the government has gone after a lot of marketers at this point. Many famous ones actually got sued big time. But the promises that they make, and the promises are usually like this. In 3 months or 6 months, we'll help you scale to 100,000. Or we'll get you a $10,000 client. And they don't know your skill
With no
level. They don't
experience at
know.
all.
Yeah, it would know, and they will say things like that's where like FTC and all these other organizations have gone after them. And you will see less and less of this, but you still see it here and there. But they will give you ridiculous promises. And this is part of the reason why we don't promise anything until we get on it. The only promises we give is what we can actually sustain, which is 30-day money back guarantee. We have other guarantees and stuff, but that removes risk. But until we get on a call with you, we know your goals, your skill level. We're not making any promises because we don't know where you're at. So, and again, there are so many other traps, but listen for these things. Whenever you hear leads, whenever you hear niche, whenever you hear funnels, whenever you hear overextended promises, pay attention, even if it's from us. Pay attention, question those, and ask your questions. It doesn't matter. It needs to make sense and it needs to be practical enough for this to happen. And also pay attention to your own biases because you might jump into these programs because they look fancy, they look like they have a lot of bells and whistles. But is this actually going to be something that's going to move your business forward, or is it just going to give you another thing to entertain for the next 6 months to 1 year?
Yeah, lots of things. So I think if I list out the four things that we said, it's the traps are funnels, uh, Niching. Um, the last one you said was promises, and there was another one that's escaping me right now. What was the fourth one? It was
The first one was leads, but yeah, you made it
leads,
less.
leads, niches, 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 promises, 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 and funnels, funnels, funnels.
Right.
Yeah, that's good. I like
And
that
again, that's
list.
not an exhaustive list, but it's those are the patterns you hear over and over. Whenever you hear that, at the least question it and see whether or not it's going to work with you. And also, finally, just know that all these marketers, they market to all kinds of coaches who are not even coaches. Some of them might be consultants, some of them might be financial coaches. Like they're not even mindset or high performance, so the business model is completely different. It's not the same model, and they don't
And
understand how yours works.
And if you're not sure, if you want to invest in a program like that, and you're not sure, send us a message. We'll help you think about it. Like if it's the right thing for you, absolutely, we'll help you. Just, contact us. We actually really care about coaches not investing in the wrong programs. We have enough experience, have been around the block that it's like, man, I can't, I don't want to hear another coach investing $5,000 in a thing that they got nothing out of because it was not aligned with where they're at in business. It's like, oh my gosh, please stop.
I've had coaches cry at the end of a call because they just realized after 6 months of being in the program, they have to go through another 6 months of it. It's like, this is not the right program. And they've even said it. He's like, I wish I had met you 6 months before. They don't even have any resources left a lot of times. They've invested 20,000,
Yeah, it's so
18,000,
brutal.
right?
We've been
And
there
I've actually
too. We've invested our money the same way. It's part of the journey of being a coach, it seems, but it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be.
Right. And the thing that we're trying to do is raise awareness around nothing wrong with marketers per se. It's like like I should be hiring marketers at some point for my business, but timing matters a lot. Usually in the beginning stage, especially up until you've hit $100,000, you probably don't need some big marketing system. You probably don't. What you probably need is a lot of feedback. You need a sales process. You need ways to diagnose it. You need to focus on mastering your craft and skill sets. You need feedback for that. And you need a community of other coaches, sort of like an incubator. You can learn and be inspired by them. They can challenge you, push you, and you can learn some who are ahead of you. And that's a community we have built. It's an implementation community for coaches who are ready to build their business. And if you have 10 to 12 hours that you can dedicate to it, you're actually building your business. Join our community. If you're listening to this on Facebook, you can join it today with a great discount and lots of amazing bonuses and a great guarantee that takes away a lot of your risk.
So
Click
go to
on the
CMC.
link.
If you want to join
Yeah.
our program, go to CMC.coach, and you'll be able to join our free Facebook group, and we can tell you all about our program. You don't need to buy it right away, but you can if you want to. And then there's also, if you are like in line to buy one of these programs that we're talking about, where you're not sure if this is right for you, given what we said today, send us a message. You can go to cmc.coach/contact and just send us a message. And we'll get that and we'll get back to you and tell you, like, here's what we think. Put enough context and detail to ask us the questions like, is this right for me based on where you're at in your coaching business? Tell us about that. And we might even hop on a call with you to help you think through it. We'll give you some feedback. So don't hesitate to contact us. We're here to support coaches. That's what we want to do.
Yeah, for sure. And if you're in listening to this live in our community, then join with one of the links shared because we've shared it multiple times. The deadline is today, and today is April 6th at midnight, and that'll be the deadline for discount. You can always join afterwards too, but you're getting a great discount with an amazing promise on the other side that's practical, that's based on what you're going through. Don't miss out on it. We've had coaches join after the discount passes, like, damn it, we missed out on the discount. So please take advantage of it.
Awesome. Well, with that, if you like this podcast at all today and you thought there's value here, please do share it with other coaches that you know. Let them know about CMC and our mission to serve coaches to actively help them build their business. And put a comment and reply. Let us know what you liked and didn't like. And we'll see you next time on the Coach's Journey podcast. Thanks a lot.